Welcome back to another episode of the Miami Video Podcast. My name is Ariel Martinez. On this episode, we're talking to Taylor Lewis of Atomic City. Atomic City is a production house that they're doing phenomenal work. And today I'm talking with one of the Lewis brothers. Yes, Taylor Lewis is just one of three brothers that run this company, and they're doing a phenomenal job. They're getting great clients like Amazon, getting asked from work from Jeff Bezos himself, which is phenomenal. So today we're going into that sort of story, how networking, grit, determination, passion, hard work really paid off and ended up landing a great job like Amazon, working with them direct and getting asked to do more work from Jeff Bezos himself. So this is a phenomenal episode. You guys do not want to miss this story. Taylor Lewis is joining us. He's just, again, one of three brothers, but we're talking a little bit about networking as well and the hard work that they put in, how they got started, and how they got to where they are now. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Taylor Lewis. Taylor Lewis, thanks so much for coming on the Miami Video Podcast. How are you, man?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Really good. I'm super glad you sort of reached out. I'm always intrigued by people that sort of reach out and kind of put themselves out there to come on the podcast. I've done that several times where I found an interesting guest for the show that I would definitely like to talk to and sort of kind of pick their brain and sort of share with the audience different aspects of the business and the industry. So super glad you did that.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on.
So yeah, if we can go ahead and start by letting us know a little bit about your background, how you got started in video production, and how the business is going, and sort of where are you guys now?
Yeah, for sure. I like to call it like our origin story. I don't know why, but it works well. So I own a video production company with my two brothers, and we got started, I don't know, since we were kids, like 16, 17 years old. We grew up in a small little town in like northern Utah where there was literally nothing to do. So what we decided to do for fun was light things on fire and film it. I don't know why our mom let us do it, but she did. And it was really fun. I mean, we came up with some pretty wild contraptions to film. Like we would take our dad's old tube socks, like film them with sand, dip them in gasoline, light it on fire, and like throw it across our yard and try to dodge them like fireballs. And we would do a bunch of things like that and do our best not to get caught on fire. I think one time, my brother Rhett once did fully get caught on fire, but he was fine. Anyway.
Well, clearly.
We're all still alive. There wasn't any major long-term damage from all the stuff that we did. But from there, like we realized like how much fun it was to just like shoot like movies and content. And so we decided to create a business out of it. And in like high school, we did like the typical like football highlight films, the cheerleader highlight films, things like that, just for the different organizations in the school itself. And from after high school, we started doing it for like actual corporate, like small, like local businesses in our hometown, and tried to go at it that way. And it took like a while for us to kind of like find our voice and find a groove and actually start making money. It was a lot of years of like that, like starving artist, like really bad style stuff. Where I think for the first like 7 or so years, we were making less than $10,000 a year. So it was barely anything. And,
right. And for three people?
Yeah, for three people.
Yikes. Okay.
So it was like, we weren't making any money. Like we were living, like my brother Rhett was like at one point, like on food stamps for a while. And
wow.
Like it was hard.
Really starving artist.
Yeah. And so like, it was tough. And like one of the things that helped us, there was like two main things that really helped us like break into actually making money and doing well. Like the first one was when we learned how to tell like good stories. Cause for the first part of our career, we kind of just saw movies online, like that we went to the theater and watched, and like saw other commercials that people would create. And we tried to just like copy what they did. Mm-hmm. And we were never able to create as good a story as they did because we were just trying to copy it. And what helped us finally is when we learned how to tell stories our way, put our voice and our spin on whatever story we're trying to tell, on whether it be a commercial or a mini documentary. We put our own little like voice into the commercial, and that helped us like become really good storytellers. And that's when more companies started hiring us and things like that. And then like the next big thing that really helped us was networking with other filmmakers. Like for example, like there's this commercial contest locally that there's these 2 filmmaker judges that we really wanted to meet and get become friends with. And so we entered that contest solely to meet them. And we didn't win the contest, but we got in, and we made sure after the award ceremony, we went up and talked to them and became good friends with them. And they were the guys that actually gave us the chance to work on our first multi-million-dollar ad campaign. And from there, like they were just giving us a chance. We've never done anything like that before. And we showed them some work that we kind of did a spec ad for them. Like we did put work in beforehand. They didn't just call us up and like, hey, do you want this? We had to we did a spec ad for them.
That was going to be my follow-up question. Like they just hired you out of nowhere.
No, it was a lot between when we first met them and when we first got hired on this gig. Like it was like a couple of years. It wasn't like instantly. Like we were PAs on their set, like production assistants. We like did like BTS work for them all the time. So like they kind of saw our work through that. And like we saw they were working on this ad campaign, and we were like, dude, we could totally make a commercial for that. So we went and made like a spec, like a mock ad for them, sent it to them like, hey guys, look what we did. You should give us a chance to shoot one of these ads. And they were like,
they didn't ask you for that, did they?
No.
Wow. So you just took the initiative and said, hey, let's up our chances of working with these guys.
Yeah. And we were good friends with them. So it wasn't like we overstepped our friendship. Like we would call and talk to each other, like go out to lunch and stuff like that. So we kind of be like, hey, here's a video that we did. It's very similar to what you guys are producing right now. We would love to work on that project with you. And they're like, yeah, this is really good. And so they gave us a chance to shoot one of those for them. And like we did it for literally nothing. It was a mini documentary style commercial. It was like a 2-day shoot. Took about 40 or so hours to edit from start to finish. Right. And we did it all for like $1,000. It was not like we did it for dirt. And anyway, so that's just to get our foot in the door. And we knocked like the first 3 out of the park. Like we did like 100 projects for this campaign. And the first like 3 are still to this day, like that company's favorite videos that they've ever done for that campaign. If that makes any sense. And from there, like we became really good friends with that agency that they were working with and those filmmakers some more. And eventually, like a couple years after doing this ad campaign, like Amazon saw one of their commercials and was like, they contacted that agency and was like, hey, who did this ad campaign for you guys? Like who shot this? And they're like, oh, you need to go contact the Lewis brothers. They're the ones that did it. And so that's how we got in their foot in the door to do our first Amazon gig. And when we shot that one, after we shot that commercial, Jeff Bezos emailed us saying that was one of his favorite commercials that Amazon's ever done.
Direct?
It was like slightly direct. It was for us, but he sent it to his production company who forwarded it on to us. Wow. Yeah, it was really cool.
To get props from the big man himself.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It was cool. And even from that, then a couple months later, Jeff Bezos actually requested us to one of his other production teams to have us shoot the launch video for the Amazon Echo. Does that make sense?
You had Jeff Bezos specifically request Atomic City, the Lewis brothers, to go and make their next ad campaign.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. It was really cool.
And all of this because you took the initiative back then to make sure that you work with these guys.
Yeah. And it just came from like working our butt off. And like a lot of that is kind of luck and word of mouth and stuff like that. But there's behind every lucky person, there's a ton of hard work that goes into it.
So it has nothing to do with luck. Like it really has nothing to do with luck. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, thank you.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't, because it really has to do with passion, with grit, with determination, with proactivity. Like all that stuff plays a role into it. Like I personally don't believe in luck. Aside from the fact that I'm a Christ follower, I do not believe in luck whatsoever. Even in from a, straightforward point of view, put religion aside for a second, all that is really hard work, determination. I'm not talking about gambling. I'm talking about the stuff that goes behind that. There's a good meme, not even a meme, but there's like, I guess, an encouraging image that you've seen oftentimes where you see an iceberg, but you see how big it is under the water, right? That's kind of where it all comes down to. There's your determination, your grit, the hard work, the collective proactivity that you've taken to kind of put yourself in a position for success. So when your number was called, it's a term we use in football, but when your number is called, like you can perform, you're ready to go. So that's quite amazing that has come out of that. I had no idea, even in our our pre-interview interview, you didn't even mention that. So I'm very, very impressed. Congratulations on that, man.
Well, thank you. I'll make sure to mention that next time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's huge. So out of this, like, was there more networking that you did? Like, what other doors has this opened up for you? Like moving after that?
Well, so yeah, like in our company, I kind of said this at the beginning, and when anyone ever asks us like how we built this, like we always say though, like the two things that helped build our company was being able to tell really good stories and authentic, real stories, and being able to network with every one of our clients and like even friends and family. Because a lot of our first beginning clients were our very first client that actually where we started making more than 10 grand a year was a family friend. And we just another time where we reached out and like, hey, we should like do some video work for you. And that guy started hiring us, and they were really dumb videos, and I don't want any client ever to see those videos because they're not very good. And they were like when we were first starting.
I think we all have a few of those.
And but it came from us like reaching out to him saying, hey, let's do some work for you. Like we did it a little bit cheaper again, and like kind of slowly grew our rates as we moved on.
Right.
But that guy, like that helped us break into like that first like 6-figure mark, was working with him, doing videos with him, and kind of through him meeting other people, stuff like that. So we really just always pride ourselves on the fact that how good we are at like meeting a client and becoming that client's friend. We like to be very easygoing, like chill guys just to hang out with. And I feel like a lot of our clients kind of like that and gravitate towards that. And that's why I feel like that's one of the reasons why they keep hiring us.
So aside from the obvious skill and creativity that you guys bring to the table, the fact that you know what you're doing, your experience, and obviously the final product, just being great people to work with is what keeps drawing your clients to you. And I think that's huge. That's why I keep a very small crew of people that I usually call over and over again to hire. I'm talking camera operators, audio guys, gaffers, first ACs, all that stuff. A very small crew, whereas sometimes it's an issue to find other people that I know, just because there's some people that I refuse to work with that I don't even consider when thinking about a job, even though I know they could do it. I don't feel comfortable sending some people. But Yeah, it's extraordinarily important to not just be skillful and know what you're doing, but to be good people to work with and leave your client with a really good experience working with you. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's like I said this just a second ago, like that's one thing that we always teach. Like we also have like an online course where we teach like beginner filmmakers how to become like better filmmakers and how to step into this industry and make money. And that's one
Hmm.
thing that we kind of hit heavily a lot is, be a good person, tell good stories, and like just how to leverage you being chill and being good to work with and how to leverage that into like a solid network of clients.
Sweet.
Um, and like, cause that one client, not that first one, but the client the agency we worked for that those filmmakers gave us a chance to work on.
Hmm.
Um, that client has brought in like probably 3 or 4 other consistent clients that we work with through networking. Like we've become
Right.
friends with that agency, and that agency has referred us to other agencies locally here in Utah that are now long-term clients for us, and we've been working with them for 4 or 5 years, you know?
Right.
And so it's just like that one client, because we have leveraged that network so well, we have 5 or 6 other clients that pay us money every year, and it's really great.
Wow. That's great. And, even going back to talking about that one client where you made $10,000 from in one year, which obviously starting off, that doesn't seem like much, especially when you're splitting the company into 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to have many more of those, because just having 10 of those, now you have $100,000 coming in, split between, in this case, 3 people, which makes it harder. And I do want to talk more about that. But the goal is to have more of those, and then obviously start charging more. And then basically it kind of trickles down to now where, you're a couple years, 2-3 years down the line, that same client is just one of many that's creating this accumulated income for your business. And depending on the structure that you put together, you either keep them, retain them, or you've kind of moved on to something bigger. So it really just depends on your growth and your path.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about your brothers and
Yeah.
how you guys managed to sort of build a business, all 3 of you, where you're all kind of, this is your livelihood now. How does that dynamic work? Because I always thought it was hard enough to have a just one partner and be profitable, just both of you. Now we're talking about 3 and your brother. So it's not like, it's just not like, I mean, I guess technically, one of you guys can kind of walk off and sort of the other 2 run the business or something, but you kind of have to deal with each other, and
Yeah.
you've been doing it your whole life. So how does that dynamic work? What is the general structure that you guys put in place? How'd you guys get that going?
Yeah. So how it works, and by no means is our system perfect. Like like with any like partnership, there are hard things to like just deal with, because they are my brothers, but they're also like coworkers. And like, if you're around them 24/7 working through things, like there are problems that do arise, and you just learn how to work through them and things like that. But yeah, it's the dynamic of brothers is very interesting. I won't
To
say the least. But like, we have made it work. And one thing that we do that we have found that works well for us, because a lot of times, because there's 3 of us, at the beginning of our company, there was like too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like if we were all thinking, all 3 of us are directing this piece together, that got really muddy really quickly, because even though we're family, we kind of
Yeah.
we have our own personalities, even though we're all
Of
kind of
course.
similar.
Yeah.
So like one brother would want this one certain piece to be in the commercial, and the other 2 of us would be like, no, that's kind of dumb. I don't want to do that. I don't think that's funny, or something like that. And a lot of it actually comes down to our humor. For some reason, like our humor is aligned, but sometimes our humor isn't aligned, because we like to do really quirky pieces of like, as far as commercials go. And so like
Nice.
one brother wants something that he thinks is super funny, but the other 2 is like, no, that's stupid. No one's going to laugh. anyway. And so we kind of learned that that one person should like spearhead a specific project. So let's say like if I were doing a commercial, I would be the director and I would have final say in everything, and the other two can give up their opinions and things like that, things that they think we should do, but at the end of the day, I get final say and I get decide what goes into that final project. And it kind of
Got it.
changes per project who runs it. And that's kind of how we do it. And it's worked really well for the last, I think we've been doing this kind of this structure for like the last 3 or 4 years. And it's
Right.
actually worked really well. It's stopped a lot of arguments just because we don't
There's
have say
one
in that
captain.
project. Yeah.
That's good. That's awesome. Yeah, when there's way too many cooks in the kitchen, it's really hard to get anything done. So what you end up having is like 2-3 hour long meetings and literally nothing is accomplished. So I've been part of those. It's just not fun. It's discouraging. But that's good that you guys were able to find that dynamic, and you said that it's been working well so far that way.
Yeah. So far, it's been working pretty good. It just, yeah, allows us to work a lot smoothly.
So are you guys, would you say you guys are all equally strengthened in specific areas, or do you have different areas that you guys are better at, like marketing or visual effects or editing or production, whatever it is?
Yeah. So as far as like just like overall, like we can all do all the jobs just because we grew up doing this, just the three of us, and like we all wore all the hats when we were first running our production company. Like we did sound, we did lighting, we did scripting, all that stuff. And so we can hold our own like as an individual, like when it comes to all the things you need to do in a production company. But over the years, like each one of us have our own specific strengths. So like
Right.
my brother Burke, he is a gear guru. He knows the ins and outs of every single piece of gear out there, and he can like understand the technical stuff way better than me and my other brother.
That's good to know.
And like my brother Rhett, he is, I would say, one of the world's like best people person. That guy can like walk into the room and everyone is his best friend in like 5 seconds. I don't know how he does it, but it's like the truth.
That's
Like
awesome.
when we go and shoot like mini documentaries of people for companies, like months after those like documentaries we shoot, those people that we shot, like the still like text my brother Rhett and have just like casual conversation with him. That's how good of friends he is with the people, like just the people we shoot and things like that. And like me, I'm kind of like a mixture of both of those. I'm kind of like like I understand gear really well, but not as good as my brother Burke. And I'm a really good people person. So I kind of mesh the two together.
Okay.
And so that's kind of like where our specific strengths kind of lie.
That's interesting.